Good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. You know the drill. We're retired New York City police detectives and 9/11 World Trade Center first responders. If you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, you're in the right spot. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so you'll get all things DutyRon and this guy right here, Ed Wallace, when we go live or upload another video. Tonight, we're going to talk about suspect Luigi Mangione. The mounting, shocking evidence that is piling up in the murder of CEO Brian Thompson. Ed, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to unpack here tonight, but we want to say thank you to the Patreon supporters, the channel members, and everyone who positively engages on these live streams. Kel, Ralph Spinelli, thank you for becoming members. And Kel, I know you've been a member for a long time. Thank you so much for your support. Listen, you guys and your input are so valuable in this true crime community that we built here. It's a live interactive show, and without you guys, we have nothing. So Ed and I give you thanks and praise to each and every one of you. Don't we, Ed?
Amen.
Amen. So what do we got today? We got developing news that's been all over the place. A lot of outlets reporting on the ballistics. I want you to get into it, Ed.
Well, the forensic evidence is piling up against our friend Luigi here, who's not our friend. And I think more is on its way shortly. So right now, we got fingerprints matching him from the cell phone, the water bottle, the power bar.
It was a Kind bar.
Yeah, the Kind bar, right. The protein bar or whatever he was eating there that he got at the Starbucks. Okay. Then we got the 3 spent cartridge cases matching as coming from his firearm. We're just waiting on the bullets and next the DNA. From his manifesto, they found out that he had a diary in a spiral notebook. They located that spiral notebook, and it's chock full of information about his thinking, his motivation, what he planned to do at the hotel, because initially he was thinking of using an explosive. And then he said, oh, you know, there might be some innocents involved, so I don't want to do that at their convention. So he knew about their convention. It's in the diary. It's in his book there. I tell you, this is going to be an overwhelming case against him between the digital forensics, the fingerprints, the ballistics, waiting on the DNA. Everything is just coming together, and he's got no wiggle room, in my opinion, on a defense here. Ron?
Let's take a listen to some of the reporting from today. Definitely no wiggle room, Ed. All of the evidence is mounting up against him. And, you know, his defense attorney, as Wendy just said, I highlighted that comment, is he denying it? He is pleading. He's going to plead not guilty, but he hasn't pled to the charges in New York. And we're going to get into the whole extradition because that's my expertise. This whole extradition and him not waiving his extradition, a complete and utter waste of time. His attorney gives me vibes, and you guys let me know if you think I'm on the same page. If you saw the Gabby Petito case, Stephen Bertolino, this defense attorney who's representing him gives me Stephen Bertolino vibes. I don't know if I'm going out on a limb here or if I'm getting a little crazy with this, but attorney Thomas Dickey really brushes me the same way Stephen Bertolino brushed me. He represented the laundries. Let's take a listen to this. You guys let me know in the chat if I'm on point with that.
San Francisco days before the shooting. We're also hearing about 2 crucial new pieces of evidence: the gun found in the suspect's possession and his fingerprints. Earlier, the NYPD commissioner gave an update on the investigation.
We got the gun in question back from Pennsylvania. It's now at the NYPD crime lab. We were able to match that gun to the 3 shell casings that we found in Midtown. We were also able at our crime lab to match the person of interest's fingerprints with fingerprints that we found on both the water bottle and the Kind bar near the scene of the homicide.
Anna Schechter joins us now. She's the senior coordinating producer for our CBS News Crime and Public Safety Unit and has been on this nonstop. Walk us through some of this new evidence that was uncovered and how significant it is for the case.
Well, all of these pieces of the puzzle will help the district attorney in Manhattan with his case. And it's also, we've just had these missing pieces. So the fact that now we definitively know that that ghost gun is in fact the same gun that he used. This is the ghost gun that was taken from him when he was apprehended in Altoona, Pennsylvania, that the gun he had on him was the same gun. So we definitively know that they matched that. The other thing, the fingerprints, that's key for the case because we can have all this circumstantial evidence, but DNA and fingerprints putting this person of interest at the scene of the crime, that is gold for the prosecutor. So a lot of weight given to that. And the NYPD investigators working this case, they don't want to mess anything up later on for the district attorney. So they want all of this really buttoned up. They're being really careful and documenting all of it.
You have new reporting about Mangione's notebook. What can you tell us?
Yes, a spiral notebook was also recovered from him. And in it, he wrote about potentially using a bomb. He was considering using a bomb for this attack, an attack on the UnitedHealthcare CEO, Brian Thompson. And he then rethought it and decided to use a gun because it would be more targeted and it would sort of save innocents' lives. This is in his language. So that's an interesting new detail. It just goes to premeditation, and that will be helpful for prosecutors working the case.
And this is different from the 3-page handwritten document that you've reported on previously.
This is exactly. An additional notebook was found with these musings and notation about a bomb. And so all very interesting and helpful to investigators.
What more have you learned about his background?
Well, the last few years are what we are zeroing in on, that he had a back surgery within the last couple of years that sort of marked a downward spiral for him. He left Hawaii for this back surgery and then eventually lost touch with all of his friends and family. He has been incommunicado for the last 6 months. He was bouncing around, whereas when he was at Penn, he was very stable in one place studying. He did go to Stanford for a few months, but he was sort of back and forth between Stanford and Penn. After that, he started bouncing around. So he was in Hawaii for a year, then he was traveling a lot. He was in Japan, he was in Costa Rica. So we're following him. But especially in the last year, he's been more unstable, traveling around, spending just a little bit of time in each place.
When you say incommunicado, does that include family?
Yes, that includes family, especially from the November timeframe, leading in.
And I'm going to stop it there because a lot of this doesn't have to do with the evidence. And what's great about what the attorney representing him in Pennsylvania is doing, and you know, this attorney said he claims to be he's been practicing for 44 some odd years, and he's also capital punishment qualified. He's not going to represent Luigi back in New York. He's representing Luigi, as we saw in the Brian Kohlberger case, only in Pennsylvania. And those charges in Pennsylvania, as we know, they are going to either defer them or completely drop them and let New York take them. And it's going to take 30 to 45 days to get the governors from both states to agree on it. But that gives the investigators Ed? Time. Investigating.
We're going to go through. Yeah. We're going to go through every aspect of his life. We're going to go through all his social media. We're going to go through that computer with a fine-tooth comb, all his cell phones, all his text messages. Who has he been chatting with? Who was he on the phone with that night? Because he was obviously speaking to somebody on the phone. Now they also recovered a Faraday bag. And for those who don't know what a Faraday bag is where you put your electronics in, like computers and cell phones. And it will stop signals from reaching those items. So it will block the signals to, it's a little more than putting it on airplane mode, but it'll stop any incoming and outgoing signals while that item is in that bag. Think of it like if you have an Easy Pass and you put it into the sleeve, like an RF frequency blocker. Therefore, it's one of the things we in forensics use when we seize electronic evidence, so that somebody from the outside cannot enter the phone through the internet and then start deleting things while it's in our possession. But I tell you what, I got to say this. I am not a fan of the Manhattan DA. And right now, they're charging him with murder two, rather. But I believe he should be charged with murder one. Now, there have been those lawyers on the internet and talking heads on television shows saying, well, he doesn't qualify for murder one. And I disagree.
Yeah.
I believe the case should actually be taken away from the Manhattan District Attorney, and he should be charged federally. Because what we're looking at here, folks, and I said this on the comment sections in our previous videos. What we're looking at here is what's known as a special interest domestic terrorist. Okay, and for those of you who don't know what that is special interest terrorism is a type of terrorism that focuses on specific issues or causes rather than a broader political or religious social change. And some examples of these are like the Animal Liberation Front or the Earth.
I have it on the screen, Ed.
Yeah, Earth Liberation Front. Okay. What do you have? Oh, okay. Yeah, you have my writings. Okay. So again, while the causes of the special interest terrorism are not illegal, but the acts of terrorism themselves are. So, and everything here, folks, if you're reading this, right, the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security issued a national strategy in 2021 to counter the threat of domestic terrorism. Okay. So what we're looking at here is radicalized, homegrown, special interest domestic terrorist. Okay. He checks off all the categories under the Federal Code of Regulations, right? There are federal charges for this. He traveled interstate with an illegal firearm for the purposes of committing a murder, okay? And in New York State penal law, okay, New York State penal law says that murder one of the categories to reach murder one is intentionally murder in the furtherance of an act of terrorism. Okay, but Bragg, the district attorney, elected district attorney of Manhattan, only has charged him with murder two. Okay, so in his writings, in his motivation for this killing, clearly puts him as a special interest terrorist.
Yeah. And we're going to play this little piece that goes over exactly what you're talking about. And we have Amazing Aunt waiting for us. She's going to be coming on after we play this piece. But I always love to get her take on this stuff because she follows this very closely. But Ed, what you're saying here is what they should be doing. But there's many people who are up in arms about this murder in the second degree. And it happens in New York State a lot because what most people don't realize is some of the mitigating factors to get murder in first degree involves the murder of a police officer, a first responder, a witness. There's like a whole long list, and I have it, but I'll spare everybody the legal mumbo jumbo. But basically, in the state of New York, you need these factors, or what you are alluding to is have the feds take it over for this domestic terrorism. But let's listen.
But one of the one of the factors for murder one is the terrorist. It's in there. It's in our New York State Penal Code that murder one is the as I read here it is murder one, an intentional murder in the furtherance of an act of terrorism. It's 125.27 1A. Okay,
right. I have it right here. Yep. All right, let's let this play.
But a shooting could be more targeted. And it says, basically referencing that what better way to kill someone than to kill the CEO at his own bean counting conference. So this is really the first time we're hearing about a conference. Again, this all pointing to a motive, all part of this investigation as they continue to try to piece together what exactly happens here and link it to Mangione.
All right, Brent Gingras, thanks so much. CNN's chief law enforcement and intelligence analyst, John Miller, has been all over this case. And John, we're learning new information just since the last time you and I spoke at the top of last hour. We're talking about the last time Mangione spoke with his mom.
Well, that's right. And it's in the larger context of trying to figure out what happened to this young man who came out with a master's degree in engineering from SLU, was taking, a surfing lesson, injured his back, goes to San Francisco, and then, at least according to the police report filed by his mother, according to sources, goes off the grid. Why is that important? Because we're looking for insights as to when this turn came, that was a turn towards obsession and violence. Now, according to a police report filed with the San Francisco police, and we've spoken to people who have reviewed it, on November 18th, Mangione's mother reports him missing to the San Francisco Police Ingleside Station. Why San Francisco? Because she's back home on the East Coast, but that's the last place she knew him to be living. She said the last time she actually saw or spoke to him was back in July. So this call in November is preceded by, according to the report, multiple calls from her to his cell phone that just run into a voicemail appear to be closed. So her son's phone has records regarding Mangione are going to be referred to NYPD because of the murder investigation. But we are starting to get a clearer picture of Mangione's time in San Francisco, where he stayed in a youth hostel, very much like the one he stayed in New York, allegedly before the murder, but not really where he kind of started to make this turn, other than the injury he came back with that started the back pain, that started the...
What other evidence do police need, if anything?
Well, I mean, the evidence is starting to surround him, right? The fingerprints taken when he was arrested in Altoona, PA, match prints found on the scene of the murder in New York City. The shell casings and the murder in New York City match the markings of the gun that he was arrested with in the McDonald's in Pennsylvania. The third important piece is going to be the DNA matches. They're not in yet as far as we know, but that'll be the third piece in the trifecta. And then the rest of it is going to be all the videotape of his movements leading up to that murder and after.
John Miller, thanks so much. Appreciate it. And we're hearing from a high school.
All right, I thought they were talking about the bomb there, but they didn't. But look, in that spiral notebook, he clearly states, "I was going to use a bomb, but I thought that it would hurt other innocent people." Just by having that proves that this guy had radicalization as far as his thought process, Ed. And I don't know if you're frozen or if you're reading something, but
No, I'm here.
I thought you were reading something, but this just shows how much he planned and how much he was, what lengths he was going to go to get this mission done, and was he going to continue on if he wasn't caught? So,
Yeah. And, I forget the specific wording of what he labeled the conference, but it was some kind of wording to the effect of, with money.
At their own
his bean counting conference, at his own bean counting conference. Yes.
Wallace, I'm on it. I'm on it, brother.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about the significance, and I know you did it in the beginning of the show, the significance of the evidence that we have here, and the amount of time that the NYPD has to go into the DNA lab we haven't heard if they recovered hair or fibers. Remember, they did a search warrant in the hostel, right? In New York City. We haven't heard anything about that, what was recovered from there. This gives them, and unbeknownst to this dummy defense attorney who's just representing him on the Pennsylvania charges, which will be deferred or dismissed once the New York City warrant, he's never going to get out. And he was on Cuomo last night, this defense attorney, Dickey, and he was making a fool of himself because he said his client should have been granted bail. Who here in the chat heard that and was just like, what is this? Is this guy out of his mind? What is he on crack? What are you thinking? There is no way in hell that any judge would give bail to someone who has an outside warrant. Now, this is presented to the courts. The judge is not in any way, shape, or form going to say, hey, we have a New York City murder warrant against your client, but I'll give him $150,000, $200,000, $5 million bail. It's just, I just couldn't believe. Actually, Cuomo laughed at him. Did you see that, Ed?
Yeah. As if he's not a flight risk. Flight risk. He had his passport. He had 8,000 USD, and then he had 2,000. What was it? Euros. He had 2,000 in foreign currency. Yeah. He's not a flight risk. That was obviously on his radar. so he can get out of Dodge.
Yeah, it was just bizarre 101. Let's bring her in. She's been hanging out for a while here. Amazing aunt, a fan favorite of everybody in the chat. Here she is.
Hey, Sarge.
Hey, everyone, gentlemen.
How are you, Sergeant? Developments from today. What were your thoughts as we were discussing right now on Chris Cuomo's show, News Nation? Defense attorney Dickey, representing Luigi Mangione, said that his client, under the Constitution, should have been afforded bail in the state of Pennsylvania. If you're not charged with a capital murder or some high crimes, that you're afforded bail. But he completely forgot to mention that New York City placed a retainer on him, right? I did this so often. You know, you have a retainer. They say to you, look, we can hold them for a reasonable amount of time. But in this case, we have NYPD detectives embedded in Altoona, Pennsylvania, just waiting to scoop this guy up. There's guys and girls that are staying there that when they say he waives extradition, which I predict that he's going to change his mind quickly. It's going to happen within the next week or so. And they're going to take him, and it's not going to go to the governor's warrant. But your thoughts on that, Sarge, because you worked with me in Fugitive.
Yeah, I think he's going to waive it before Christmas, before the holidays. I think Murder One was a no-brainer, especially with the domestic terrorism clause. Thank you, Ed, for pointing that out, because a lot of our viewers, even cops, may not know all the minutia to the penal law in New York State. And I know after 9/11, there were a lot of amendments. And it's obvious it's a domestic terror. When Alvin Bragg came out with Murder 2, it didn't surprise me, Ed, and I'm there with you. I agree that New York County, and that's a separate conversation, and the DA has to change, because looking at the letter of the law, not even the news coverage or any political motivation behind it, the facts are the facts. And I love, Ed, how you pointed out all the preliminary forensics that is linking him to this crime. And he is entitled to due process, right? I keep saying that. We're reminding everyone. However, this seems like a home run case, and the defense attorney gave me Johnny Cochran vibes, rest in peace, and O.J. Simpson, because if it was an Altoona local felony, forgery, right? Penal Law 170, yeah, bail would be granted, but this was a high profile FBI connected case. And
Yeah,
that's
hey,
obvious.
Hey, Judge, you want to grant my client, this guy right here, want to grant this guy bail so he can go out? Yeah, put a monitor on him. You know, he just killed somebody in New York City, murdered somebody, calculated murder. Let's give him bail. That I think that would be good for the public. He's no risk to anybody in Altoona. Just
DutyRon, can I say something on the defense side? Because I'm learning to be a little bit more open-minded. And I think it came up more yesterday. It surprised me because I'm very law and order. You know me, DutyRon. I'm very law and order. Don't litter. Don't drink in public. I'm very law and order. But his manifesto, he says he didn't want to do a bomb to hurt other people.
Hurt
That's
other
a
innocents.
Innocence,
Other
right.
innocents.
Right, innocent. Sorry, my bad. This is why you're so
That
technical.
doesn't
You're
mean
the
you wouldn't
detective.
roll a bomb into the ballroom where this conference was.
Well, right. If you want to, split it up 100%. But there showed some sort of conscience, not enough, but defense is going to run with that down the road. And I think that they're buying time because the family's looking for probably the top New York County attorney firm to handle this case too.
You know, I just got to tell you, Amazing Aunt and Ron, you mentioned Johnny Cochran. Okay. You know, he, as you said, he has passed away. But I was on the stand and he was one of the defense attorneys in the case that I was testifying in New York City and New York County. And it was People State of New York versus Puff Daddy.
Wow.
And
for the shooting, Ed?
Yeah, in Club New York.
Yeah.
Club New York. So here he was in his purple suit. And
yes.
and I said, okay, what was it? Was it the Joker in Batman that wore purple or green?
Or the
something
Riddler?
like that? The Riddler. No, the Riddler wore green.
No,
the Joker
green.
wore purple, right?
Purple.
So our good friend Jeff Litweiler again comes in with super chat and says federal charges. He is a terrorist, just like McVeigh.
Yes.
And you brought that up on our last live stream. So DK, thank you for becoming a member. Carly welcome to the memberships. It's always great to see you, and thank you for putting your trust in us. Let's just play this piece from Fox 5, and then I want to go to Ed on some other forms of business here that we want to discuss. I'm kind of under the weather. I had 2 rounds of radiation Monday and Tuesday. The second one really kicked my butt. So my voice is a little down and my energy is a little low. So I apologize for that, guys.
With accused shooter Luigi Mangione when he was arrested in Pennsylvania this week. And Fox 5's Linda Schmidt has been following all of today's developments. She's joining us right now with some information. We've been showing that bag of bullets earlier today, but you have got some information about.
Yeah, we want to quell that because that was running around rampant. I got like 15 emails about the bag of bullets that were not. Ed,
Bag of shit.
Bag of donuts.
Joey bag of donuts.
Joey bag of shit.
It was a bag of bullshit.
Ed doesn't curse often, and he said it was a bag of shit. Yeah, they're going to tell us right now.
That. What are your sources saying?
Yeah, well, originally today, Fox News was provided with a photo of a plastic Ziploc bag that contained some bullets that somebody walking their dog in Central Park had discovered. They just saw them, the bag just laying there amongst the leaves and the dirt, and so picked it up. And of course, because of the murder that happened a week ago today, they immediately called the NYPD. So we were provided with that picture, and we were told those bullets, that bag of bullets, might be connected to the murder. So we have been reporting that it might be connected. We reported that earlier today, and then again at 5 and at the top of the 6. I just was contacted by a high-placed law enforcement source who is now telling me that bag of bullets not connected to this murder. And I said, well, is it connected to anything at all? And they said, we don't know yet that, and this is going to be, I think, surprising to you and to many of our viewers, but police find ammunition in Central Park apparently all the time.
Wow.
That's what I'm told. That was my reaction.
Yeah.
Like in Manhattan, you're finding that in Central Park all the time. And the source said, yeah, absolutely. But the important thing here is that bag, again, the plastic bag of the bullets found in Central Park on the Upper East.
And it's at the crime lab about. Okay, so the police commissioner did reveal some new information about evidence that they found, and it's at the crime lab. Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, Mangione was arrested in Pennsylvania. When he was found with a ghost gun. What they have determined, the PC, the police commissioner, at a news conference today, at the tail end of that news conference with Mayor Adams, said that they have now matched that ghost gun with 3 shell casings that were found at the scene of that murder that happened a week ago today. So again, matching the gun to 3 shell casings.
Okay. It seems like they have Mangione dead to right on this one as the guy who has potentially done this. But is there any other evidence coming out of the crime lab that they're really waiting for to lock this all in?
Well, some more information that the commissioner was talking about today, the fingerprints. His fingerprints, once he was arrested in PA, they obviously took his prints. They matched those prints to that bottle of water and the wrapper from that snack bar that he had left near the crime scene. And that's stuff that he bought at Starbucks shortly before he allegedly carried out this assassination.
So fascinating, Ed. So much could be gleaned here from, recovering his backpack and his personal belongings. You see his bushy hair, bushy eyebrows, hairs and fibers at that hostel. I keep going back to it because he spent allegedly multiple days there. And if they can figure out what bed, and I saw the inside of this place, it's almost like a dorm room. It's got double bunks. And, the room that he was in, I think, held 6. So they have like little lockers on the inside of the place. So crime scene went in there with the warrant, with a search warrant. And what did they do when they went in there, Ed?
First they do their walkthrough and look over the room, identify the bed that he was allegedly in. Well, I shouldn't say allegedly that it was in, but between the time he checked out of the hostel and now, I mean, that bed, the sheets have been changed, the mattress, the pillowcase. I don't believe it's the original. Okay, but they would look in search then with alternate light sources and white light, and they would photograph and sketch, and they would try to collect hairs and fibers. They would try to locate the original bedding if they can. But I think it's a foregone conclusion that, we're doing it to be thorough, but I think there's plenty of evidence with the surveillance footage, the clerk at the counter, the fact that he did check in there and pay for the room. All of that is well documented now. It's, foregone conclusion that he was, staying at that hostel while, plotting, and surveillance operations that he was conducting for the attack.
And Trucking with Mark says, who were the other two that stayed there with him? Or there might have been even more that stayed with him. But the bottom line is NYPD has the resources to track down these individuals who are staying with them and interview them. They're not going to interview and interrogate them, but Trucking with Mark, thank you for that question. They're going to do a thorough investigation because there's no need to rush. This suspect, or however you want to refer to him, it doesn't matter. He is in custody and he's not going anywhere. And that's the great part about investigations, is when you have time on your hands, you can now dot your I's, cross your T's, go back, do this, do that without any rushing, because he's not going anywhere. And
well, he slammed on the brakes himself when he's fighting extradition. So he put another
his own defense attorney is effectively helping the investigation. And your thoughts on that?
100% all around. This isn't a local Altoona crime. It's federal. I'm really excited, Ed, to see if the feds jump in on this, Southern District of New York, because I don't want anything to taint the trial, the jury pool, DA Bragg, who's there, and just a lot of the things that come out of his office that have been inconsistent, because it's such a clean case so far with evidence. And Ed, as you mentioned, they're still processing, and the defense gave NYPD and all investigators and partners a lot more time to button this up, as we say in law enforcement. So it's unfortunate all around, but the defense isn't as savvy with the extradition, and that was more key than the forgery charge or weapons charge.
He also, this guy, I mean, I'd like to see a full psych profile brought up on him. I'd like to see, him examined by psychologist and get a full picture of, what, because from my vibes I'm getting is that, big narcissist, only he can save America from the demon that is the medical insurance company
and corporate America. Well, I don't think it was even exclusive to the healthcare. That was his prime. It was his prime concern. But here, look at this too. I have, now that we're looking at the spine injury that he had a fused spine surgery. He posted some pictures. If these are all in fact the truth, and thank you, Quilted Maple, for that comment. I'm sure the feds are salivating at the opportunity to take this case. I hope they take it. We all hope they take it, because then he'll be looking at murder first degree, and he'll be charged federally. But I want to say this, with that injury comes taking meds, right? Could he have gotten so into pain medication? They were talking, his roommates were talking about mushrooms and doing all kind of psychotropic natural medications. He was in excruciating pain. And it's also been reported that he wasn't able to sexually perform. And this is, this is not me talking. This is what I heard, in interviews with his roommates from Hawaii. And if he was starting to do heavy narcotics, this is when he could have gone into that deep abyss of that 6 months of off the radar. And that's enough time. Trust me, that's enough time to get radicalized, to get into this mode of, hey, I got to take care of this. If I don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. And
well, listen, he's living a lifestyle off of his rich family.
Trust funds, baby.
Yeah, I mean, he's traveling all over Asia. He's traveling to Hawaii. He's got cash in his hand. I mean, what is his employment? I mean, does he hold a job down? How is he capable of doing these things, right? And do you think he needs medical insurance if you're the son of a multimillionaire?
Yeah, that's the
And
thing.
that came up today in an outlet. They said that he was 26, and that this is a news outlet. Potentially health insurance, he's getting off his parents' plan, is an issue. I don't think that's a main motivation or issue. I think, Ronnie, what you said, his medical situation is predisposing him to possibly other things. It's a gateway to a lot of other things. And then what you said, Ed, about the narcissism and almost like this primal hero. I'm just making this up, like this primitive type of hero. What's really sad is that at some point he'll watch news or get some sort of info, right? And he's going to see the support he's getting, which makes this case a whole nother episode to see the support he's getting.
And let me be very clear. We're not in any way, shape, or form making an excuse, but this is what his defense attorney, if he they're gonna latch onto this, and this is what we're gonna be hearing about. Let me just be very clear. We are cheerleaders for justice, not for this perp. And
I don't want to sound like that, Ron. I'm not trying to defend him.
I'm not saying you are. I just want the chat to know, and anybody that might be stumbling across. And guys and girls, if you are new here, let us know in the comments, because we love the live interactive audience that we have here. Katina, thank you for gifting those memberships. If you're new here, let us know by putting a new in the chat. And if you want, let us know where you're watching, city, state, or country. We'd like to just see where everybody is watching from across the globe. Did anybody here on Ed, I know you have seen this, but Ant, did you see this? Banfield did I think it was a 4-minute video, and it was pretty interesting, with an orthopedic surgeon. Orthopedic specialist, and he talked about this injury, and he also talked a little bit about the recovery. Ed, did you see any of that?
Yes,
you did. All right. Anybody in the chat saw took a peek at this? And this is from last night. Banfield had, and I'm not a big fan of her, but she did a great job, I think, last night with this. I'm going to play a little bit of it. Not going to play it all, but let's take a listen.
Is known to have read and even reviewed online. I'm joined now by Dr. Joshua Robner, who's an orthopedic spine surgeon who has not treated Mangione, but knows all about his purported situation. Doctor, thanks so much for being on. I know that you've seen that image of the X-ray. It just looks scary to me, but what is it that you see when you see this X-ray?
So first of all, thank you for having me on. Assuming that this is Luigi's X-ray, first of all, we only see one image, so it's hard to tell.
Just for a little bit of background, Luigi Mangione, right up here in the top, this is from his Twitter account. This is his branded Twitter account. He did, in fact, because I went and checked this the other day, he did post this image and did state that this was from his surgery in 2022 or 2023, I believe. But this is his fusion from the spine. Here we got I think we just saw a Long Island. There's a Long Island, a Leela. Welcome, Miss Hayes. So this is from his branded X account.
Too much about this, but we could tell a few things. First of all, there is a condition called spondylolisthesis, and that's basically where one vertebrae is slipped forward on another vertebrae. That could cause severe back pain, severe leg pain, and that is usually fixed with what he had here, which is called a spinal fusion procedure. That's a surgery where screws are placed in the spine to stabilize the spine and to bring the spine back to the alignment that it's supposed to be in. So it looks like this patient had a spinal fusion procedure for spondylolisthesis. In general, that's a very successful operation, but in this case, we don't know how successful it was for him.
And just to be really clear, this came from an account that is believed to be Luigi Mangione's X account, and it was posted long before much of this had happened. So we believe that it's his own surgical X-ray, but we can't be 100% sure. But he did say to his roommates in Hawaii that his condition, quote, locks up his hips and back and causes numbness. Does that comport with the image that you saw?
Sure. And again, I'm not sure if he's talking about before the surgery or after the surgery, but either way, having a condition like this and recovering from the surgery can certainly cause locking up of the hips and the back, numbness, tingling, and can cause compression of the nerves and symptoms related to back pain and leg pain.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain what all those things are that I'm looking at? I'm just sort of fascinated because I want to say they're screws, but it just seems that they're so incredibly long.
So those are titanium screws. We call those pedicle screws. And those are the screws that are placed into the spine. And they're very strong and they hold the spine in place. The spine obviously is the basic structure of the whole body. So you need really strong and large screws to.
All right. So I just wanted to show that for context so people could see that.
Hey, Ron,
Yes.
from a forensic standpoint, okay, if we have recovered a body and during autopsy we find that those things are serial numbered, the plates, the screws, okay, and based upon that information you can search the databases for these and get the information of who purchased them and who did the surgery and who the patient was.
Right. Just like we talked about, and this has nothing to do with the spinal surgery, but we talked about this with Suzanne Morpheo with her port. Those were also, you said, to be serialized and you know when it's put into the person.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you guys think they'll do blood, urine, see if opiates and all that other stuff part of his medical or his psych eval or medical? Because I'm sure he's going to be inaided or get medical treatment.
Yeah. So I would say this just from my experience with talking with Anthony Ganji from Tier Talk, they have to do a medical eval on all incoming prisoners in the jail, in the local jail, to make sure it's a basic thing that they'll go over. I don't think that they'll do blood unless he's jonesing and going into you know
withdrawals.
Yeah, if he's going through withdrawals, thank you. They could possibly do that. Ed, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but go ahead.
No. Yeah, I was just going to comment on the same thing. Yeah, in the intake, they're going to run him to see what's in his system. They're going to ask for a medical screening and saying, okay, what meds are you on? What do you need to take? What is the dosage? Who prescribed it? And they'll verify all of that. And if he needs certain prescriptions for, in this case, the pain that he may be dealing with from this surgery, then they're obligated to get it for him. But yeah, they're going to be looking for those foreign substances as well when they do the screening.
Right.
The reason why I asked, someone commented, I forgot the handle, that he had this surgery and issues, but he was riding a bike, standing outside, shooting, moving around, and very mobile. So that's what led me to think that maybe he's on something, if that's narcotics or opiates, or just pure hate, just pure emotion.
Yeah, he was in shackles and in a travel belt, and he was twisting and contorting his body to talk back to the reporters, and then he got slammed up against the wall, and it didn't seem like there was any type of issues with him. But this is supposedly from an alleged surfing accident in Hawaii, and the surgery was 2023, and I'm sure that he didn't have to pay anything out of his pocket for the surgery, and if he did, he's got his family who could take care of that for him very easily. So it's just again, this case it's got a lot of moving parts, but this we're highlighting this is because we're going to hear about this when it comes to his defense. They're going to talk about his drug use because of this horrible surgery he had, and that he had to take pain medication. And you're gonna this is just me speculating, but my client is under a lot of pain, and he was taking prescription drug medications, and he wasn't thinking properly, yada yada yada. Somebody asked Ed if you could describe the difference between murder first degree and murder second degree, and why is he being charged as it stands right now on that arrest warrant for the extradition murder 2.
All right, so murder 1, everything about murder 1 is intentional, okay, and the whole first groups of the murder people are police officers, peace officers, first responders, correctional employees, and you intentionally murder while confined in prison for a life sentence, intentionally murder while escaped from a life sentence, intentionally murder a witness to prevent the witness testimony, intentionally murder of a witness to extract retribution for the witness's testimony, intentionally murder of immediate family member of witness to prevent or influence the testimony, intentionally murder or of immediate family member of witness to exact retribution for testimony. Contract killing by the killer, contract killing by the procurer, intentional murder in the course of the furtherance of the commission of an immediate flight from designated crime, actual killer. And then it's the same one, designated crime, person who commands the killer. Intentional murder in the course of furtherance of immediate flight from attempted murder, actual killer. And then attempted murder for the person who commanded the killer. 2 homicides during the same criminal transaction. Intentional murder prior to murder conviction. Intentional murder accompanied by torture. Intentional murder, 2 additional homicides within 24 months. Intentional murder of a judge. And the intentional murder in the furtherance of a terrorist act. That's murder 1. Now, murder 2 is...
And this is what he's being charged with as it stands right now.
Right.
When
And
we
so
get
let
him
me...
back to New York. He's not
Okay.
getting charged in Pennsylvania when he gets back to New York.
Murder 2 only has 3 things. Cause the death of a police or certain peace officers or correctional employee. Cause the death of a firefighter, emergency medical technician, ambulance driver, paramedic, physician, or registered nurse involved in first response team or other emergency responder. Cause the death of a child by torture. Okay. Intentional homicide, depraved indifference murder, felony murder. I'm sorry, what I just gave you prior was aggravated murder. Okay. It's underneath murder 2. But yeah, these are the murder 2: intentional homicide, depraved indifference murder, felony murder, depraved indifference murder of a child, homicide in the course of a sex offense. So that's murder 2. So
and I'm going to link, so everyone, so there's no confusion, in the description, I'm going to link murder 1 and murder 2 and the mitigating factors that you need to charge murder 1. And essentially, there's a big list to it, but if it's a police officer, a first responder, a judge, and things of that nature. So there's a lot of different things that are that come into play. Anybody want to hear from his defense attorney in the chat? Because there was an interview. It's only 2 minutes long, 3 minutes long, with Erin Burnett of CNN. It's comical. I mean, does anybody want to get a good laugh? Ed, what do you got up on the screen?
Well, Silver Fox asks, where does the terrorist come from? Are you looking for the physical location? Because that would be Maryland. But if you're saying what the charge of terrorism, because an act of terrorism is, what is it? Well, it involves a violent act or an act dangerous to human life, property, or infrastructure. The intent is to intimidate or coerce a civilian population, influence government policy, or affect government conduct. So in his case, as again, special interest terrorist, his special interest was the healthcare insurance industry and corporate America. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's his special interest.
Yeah.
And he wanted to change how they operate. It's in his diary. It's in his notebook. He calls them, he thinks they're greedy, thus the monopoly money and all these other little things that he wrote on the side of the cartridge cases. He wrote those 3 words, which were a title of a book written about the healthcare insurance industry and so forth. All right.
Okay.
So that's what makes him a terrorist.
Thank you for clarifying that, Monique. Mo Preciado, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. And I just want to look at the starred messages real quick. Jennifer, thank you for loving Sarge. Is that a friend of yours, or is that part of your fan club? Excellent.
I don't know. I just met her. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. I know that you responded back to it. Emily Pickles, thank you for being a member. Continue prayers to you, DutyRon. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really pushing to get through this because I'm in a bad way right now. But I want to get this out here for you guys because I didn't get to do the update yesterday. I was that bad that I couldn't go live yesterday. And Ed will say it. DutyRon was jonesing.
He was jonesing. Yes.
I couldn't go live. I was that bad. I was on the couch sleeping on and off half of the day from this radiation treatment that I'm getting. I'm in the fight of, for those of you who don't know, I'm fighting cancer right now, but I'm going to get through it. We're going to be fine. All right, here's the interview. Get ready to bleed from your ears.
the defense attorney for Luigi Mangione. And Thomas, I appreciate your time. And obviously you are dealing with this, your other cases as well in court today. The NYPD commissioner tonight is announcing that the gun that your client had on him when he was arrested in Pennsylvania at that McDonald's, they are saying that specific gun matches the 3 shell casings at the scene of the murder in New York. What's your response to that from the New York NYPD commissioner tonight?
Yes, Aaron. Thank you for having me, first of all. Aaron, I still haven't seen that evidence. Lawyers need to see evidence. Those saying you have something and getting that admitted into court.
But I'm not going to stop it any more than here. What confuses me every time he gets interviewed is they're asking him about this gun charge. And back in New York, he is not going to even be representing him.
Exactly.
They've already indicated listen, at a press conference, the district attorney in that county, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, has already indicated we will defer the charge. Does anybody, Ed, I know you pay attention. I heard the district attorney in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania say, we will defer to the NYPD and let's just take this guy out of here. We don't want him. Just get him out. So this is like a waste.
Well, first of all, he's not even a member of the New York bar.
No,
he would have to come in and then petition the judge to allow him to practice law in New York on this case.
As they say in the Yiddish country, oy vey.
Are 2 different things. In fact, so what we're talking about is fingerprint evidence and some ballistics. Those 2 sciences in and of themselves have come under some criticism in the past relative to their credibility, their truthfulness, their accuracy, however you want to do it. So that's why
Here we go again.
Lawyers, we need to see it. We need to see how do they collect it, how much of it matches. I don't want to get too technical, but fingerprints, they go by ridges, different things like that. And then we would have our experts. We would have experts take a look at that. And then we would challenge its admissibility and challenge the accuracy of those results.
So, when you mention it's the ballistics, but also the fingerprints, when you're talking about fingerprints and the ridges on the fingerprints, you just mentioned specifically, the NYPD does say those fingerprints match the fingerprints, your client's fingerprints match the fingerprints on the water bottle and that kind bar near the murder scene. So is what you're saying that you're not sure that the methodology that they're using or the company that or however that they're matching those fingerprints, you're not confident in that?
Well, I'd have to see it. I mean, anybody can say, if they're going to use it, of course they're going to say that. But you have to see things. And that's why, people need to keep an open mind. And, we would get our day in court and we would get that evidence. We can examine that evidence and challenge it. All the way.
At this point, has your client said anything to you? Or, are you disputing that he was in New York City?
I'm not going to get in any communications between my client and I. That's not proper. And again, if and when formal charges are filed, no question that my client would indicate a plea of not guilty.
No question that so you're sure it'll be a not guilty plea.
You're a day late and a dollar short. The charges have been filed already.
Hold on.
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
Thank you, Cameron.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Please.
Yeah, the burden of proof is always on the government. Okay. So, again, people forget that he and any other person charged with a crime is presumed innocent. That means we start off square one with a presumption of innocent of him being innocent, and the rest then follows, and then we challenge the evidence and contest it and battle it out in court where it belongs.
Right. Well, it's important though that you're indicating there's no question that he would have a plea for not guilty when he makes that plea. May I just ask you though, Thomas, just your sense of the situation? They're putting out, the NYPD commissioner is saying, right, that the ballistics match. The NYPD is saying that the fingerprints match. You're saying you haven't seen this evidence. Are you frustrated that you haven't seen it? Are you trying to get your hands on that at this time?
Yeah, unfortunately, the way the process works is we don't get it right away. They don't have to give it to us, until certain times and certain spots as the case moves forward. I'm trying to get my hands on as much as I can, but again, you have to see it. You can't examine something and comment on it. And that's what's frustrating about it, because we get to see it and we get to hire our own experts and look at it and all the methodology that's involved in it and challenge it.
So when you talk
That's
about
my duty to my client. And I welcome.
I think this is a great comment. Did Luigi's family here? I assume Luigi's family hired this attorney. If they did, which I'm assuming that they did, they got to be cringing at everyone. There's about 20 of these videos. He did one in his law firm. He had all 7, 12 all the different news agencies inside his office. And that, my friends, was a cluster. That I wouldn't even dare play that here because that was really hard. Talk about an ear bleed.
No, I understand. And that's the way this would go. I am curious, though. I know that when you've talked about his mental health, such that you've interacted with him so far, especially in the context of the rage that he displayed yesterday when he showed up at court, you said that he, from what you could see, he's able to make quote unquote knowing decisions. So it just seems to me, and I don't want to get ahead of it, but it seems to me very clear that what you're saying is that you are going to plead not guilty, not guilty by way of insanity or anything like that, just a plain and simple, clear not guilty.
Yeah.
You see how well he's walking in there? Back to the back injury. Somebody who's incapacitated from, an injury like that is not going to jump out of here like a spider monkey.
Not guilty by way of insanity.
Look at this. Doesn't seem like there's any issue.
First of all, about this outrage, he's irritated, agitated about what's happening to him and what he's being accused of. He never had any legal representation until he walked into that building yesterday. And I talked to him. And if you notice, look at the film, look at the difference between when he went in and when he come out. So once he got in, he finally had legal representation. I like to think he had somebody that he can trust and has faith in. And now he has a spokesperson and someone that's going to fight for him. And so I think you'll see a big difference in the demeanor. And I think that part of that, whatever you want to interpret that as yesterday, was a lot of the frustration, being a young man thrown in jail and being accused of very serious matters.
So just to be clear, and but to be clear, you didn't meet him then. So when we see that rage, you haven't had a chance at that point to have spoken to him or seen him. Your first meeting was actually when he went in the courtroom.
Actually, that was into a holding area, and I was on the other side of that. So my first contact with him visually, was before you had a chance to speak with him, was him coming through that door, and you saw the interaction between he and the sheriff's department, and then look at the video of him coming out and look at the difference. He's now had legal counsel. I was upset they didn't have any legal counsel prior to that. That extradition hearing came upon really quick and he hadn't talked to anybody.
So Thomas, do you know at this point why he was in Altoona?
I'm not going to
again, that would be their burden of proof. Again, I can't get into any communications between that occurred between my client and myself.
Have you been
I'm bound by law that I can't do that.
So I was laying out in the introduction the timeline here, right? That his mother said she spoke to him on July 1st, and then 100.
All right. Hashtag Ed, hashtag Ant, hashtag DutyRon. Let's answer some questions. But I also want to bring up, to be fair, there is this controversy, Ed and Amazing Ant, about the photos that were taken in the Starbucks and at the hostel. There are two different looking images. We talk about the unibrow and the spacing. My own son down in Florida sent me that picture, the two pictures, and I wish that I saved it, but everybody here in the chat knows what I'm talking about. Are these just different angles, or how are we having that big space there? And listen, I'm just trying to be fair here to talk about this, because I want to mention that the chief who went to, what is his name, Kaz? the chief. Yeah.
Deputy Commissioner Special Operations / Detective Kaz Daughtry.
Well, Kaz Daughtry gets interviewed on Fox 5 this morning, and Rosanna Scotto, who I love, a feisty Italian woman who's a great reporter, he outright asked him, and who was the other guy, the chief of patrol on there with him?
Chief Shell.
Shell, yeah. She asked both of them about the unibrow. And you know what? They didn't freaking answer her. They just sidestepped that.
Well,
Ed, I know you're putting your head down. I'm going to go to...
I think that was smart. Go on, Ed.
I'm going to her first, and then we're going to go to Ed.
Ladies first, okay.
I usually say age
Unibrow.
before beauty.
Unibrow.
When he grimaces, it looks different. When I saw him getting brought in, by the way, the police officers protected him from hurting himself. It always makes us look violent, but they actually restrained him from hitting. You saw his face on the concrete. So in custody, he was treated more than appropriately, and they protected him from hurting himself. But I noticed when he turned his head, he grimaced. What?
That's good. That was just me.
Oh, I thought it was my little AirPod.
No,
I noticed that when he turned his face and grimaced, the eyebrows were more connected. He gave me Kohlberger vibes, which is when I really started, coming on the show more and following. And then Starbucks, I'll be honest, if I didn't know this side of law enforcement, looking at it, I had some doubt if it was the same person, but all the other features seemed to match. And Ed, you would know this when we look at the earlobes, the nostrils, and so forth. But when you look at his grimacing picture, for everyone watching right now, you do see the eyebrows bunch up like Kohlberger, but then when he's relaxed, they seem to spread out. But so much so on the video, it made me a little skeptic. What do you think, Ed?
Well, here's the deal. All these cameras are different. All the lenses are different. Okay. We don't know the angles of these. We don't know the millimeters of the lens. We don't know what their capabilities are. Okay. If you take your cell phone and you take a selfie, okay, close to your face, and then you take another selfie where your camera is further away. Look at the difference in your appearance in those two photos. It could be very dramatic to the point that it doesn't look like the same person.
Yes. Yeah.
When in fact it is. Okay.
Absolutely.
So I hold no stock in any of these people, who get all crazy. You have cameras from different locations, from Starbucks, from the hostile, from the camera in the taxi.
Yeah.
And so forth. And they're all different qualities. They're all different millimeter lenses. They're, we don't know, is it a wide angle lens? Is it a 50 millimeter lens? Is it 105 millimeters? We don't know. Okay.
This is Kristen. She's a professional photographer, Ed. And she says angles, shadows play a huge part in photography.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But again, when you see those photos side by side, and I know Amazing Ant's looking for it, but I have it.
No, I took a picture of myself. I'm looking at my eyebrows.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so she says it plays it plays a part in this. And New Jersey, he will either be housed at the Manhattan House of Detention in Manhattan, or I believe that he will go to Rikers. I believe that he will be housed at Rikers Island, and Luigi is going to be in for a big Rikers is no joke. I mean, I spent a good part of the last 3.5, 4 years of my career going to Rikers every day to take people out of there, to deposit criminals there, to lodge them. And I've been to every pod on Rikers, AMKC, AMK, all of the different places. And it is no joke. He is maybe that's one of the reasons why he wants to stay in Pennsylvania, because he knows he's going to get an ass whooping over in Rikers. That's for sure. I know he'll be in protective custody because they don't want to keep him. Okay. But Rikers is no joke. Let's listen to Rosanna Scotto question these guys about, this is in the studio, about the unibrow, and watch what happens here. Pay attention, folks.
Just individual. As far as the video team, I think they're the Manhattan video team is probably one of the best in the city.
The unibrow?
Yeah.
The unibrow.
Between the NYPD detectives, between Alvin Bragner's office, we're fairly confident we have what we're looking for.
He doesn't answer.
I don't think it's really fair to call it a unibrow. I just think it's these huge bushy eyebrows. I don't see them connected.
When he grimaces, it looks like it. So they're just cutting. To
Oh
the
yeah,
face.
anybody can do that.
Yeah.
You know, when you squint and then your eyebrows come closer. But
It's probably one of the best in the city.
The unibrow.
Yeah.
The unibrow.
Between the NYPD detectives, between Alvin Bragner's office, we're fairly confident we have what we're looking for.
I also think the cameras from up above with someone wearing a hood on.
You have to understand something.
Yeah, I mean, let's not go
Sometimes
to every conspiracy theory.
the video you see,
Yeah.
sometimes the color is exactly where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
There's different nuances, to
Different
this.
angles.
But again, just the video. Look how far from the scene up to the bus depot. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
He did everything in his power.
The unibrow. The unibrow didn't get answered. But so I thought that was interesting. I saw that this morning as I was throwing up in my bathroom. I had a little bit of nausea this morning, but I was catching the unibrow, and I have the DVR, so I went back and I said, "Oh, I got to play this." Again, there's so much, so many moving parts to this thing. I feel that they have their guy, but that was 3 days ago. That was a major thing. I'm going to let you two talk it out while I go and find the unibrow side-by-side photos.
Ed, I have a question.
Shoot.
Oh, forensics. When you present this case, let's say you're testifying, what would you say would be in the order? They're all important, but the order of importance in terms of forensics, what would you say would be the smoking gun, no pun intended, for this case? Like, what evidence would you start with to link him to it? Fingerprints, the gun, the bullets?
Well, the digital evidence,
Okay.
the images first, right?
Yes.
You show those images that the detectives found, especially the one where he pulls the mask down to flirt with the clerk.
Yes.
And now the shooting scene, boom. And then right after the shooting scene, right, you go to the cartridge cases, and then you go to the gun and you say, these cartridge cases found on this sidewalk in front of the entrance to the Hilton Hotel match the gun he was arrested in possession with, right?
Okay.
Then you show the videotape of him purchasing the water bottle and the protein bar. And you said, then you go to, and here's the fingerprints recovered from them, and they match him. Okay. Then the DNA comes in, right? Because it's coming. It's just a matter of time. We're just waiting for the analysis to be completed and the matches to be made. Then you go to the backpack. Now these backpacks are serial numbered, and their sales are registered. So, I mean, we had the owner, the inventor of that backpack, and it's where it's sold in San Francisco.
Where he lived.
Where he lived, and he has the records of who he sells these to. So he's going to have a record of the sale of that backpack, and hopefully it matches Luigi, okay? And so then, you put all that together, right? And you put the photograph of him getting on the Greyhound bus from Atlanta to New York, and him getting off the bus. You have all this great evidence. And now the backpack, hopefully, no, this particular backpack has serial numbers. I see someone questioning me. The owner, the inventor of that backpack was specific about it, because this is not a cheap backpack. Okay. So anyhow, I said the owner of the backpack. What I meant was the designer of the backpack. Okay. Had put serial numbers on all the backpacks and monitors the sale of them and who's getting what. But that said, the DNA comes in. Now we're still missing the bullet examinations. Okay.
Right.
The bullets that would be recovered at autopsy. Once those bullets get matched to his gun, and then you show the autopsy photos and the recovered bullets from the autopsy, and then the gun, and you say, and now this matches the firearm that was used and recovered in his possession. Okay.
Also, trucking with Mark brought up, the sneakers. You know how when we're working on patrol and we give a description of a perpetrator, I was taught working in Brooklyn, Bronx, you start from the bottom up in terms of the outerwear, because sneakers and shoes are the last things they change. Someone mentioned his footwear. Obviously, detectives go that detail, but would you also, I'm assuming they vouchered all that. I don't want to assume. Would they have vouchered all that for the scene, for the footprints?
Well, if they found any footprints, but yeah, you're going to look for the clothes that he was wearing that day, and you want to recover that. Okay.
The residue, right? Maybe
yes.
from the firearm.
Well, I mean, if where he walked to hide the backpack in Central Park. Okay.
Gotcha.
You know, if you would have taken soil samples from around that bag where that bag was recovered, okay, and you could find that soil on his shoes or in his socks or inside the shoe. Plus, then you can do a pollen analysis of the soil and the contents from where the backpack was recovered. And if you find that soil or pollen in his shoes, you can say, you know, that he was in that park in that area. Okay. That's very strong forensic evidence as well. And but I'm not sure that they did that. But you know, it's one of those things that could be done because you know those plants, those trees that are in that area of where the backpack was, are have their own DNA, and so you can do DNA analysis of that as well. Now the money, the monopoly money. Paper are good sources of fingerprints because once you touch them, there's no way to destroy that fingerprint on that paper without destroying the paper. So if the paper is still intact, you could find his DNA and fingerprints on that paper of the monopoly money because the odds are, you know, at some point in time, he may have touched that without gloves. Now the backpack, you should be getting some DNA from the backpack. And depending on the tightness of the weave of the material used to make the backpack, you might even get fingerprints. Okay. But definitely DNA.
Ed, so here's a question from Linda Vagata, a channel member, a good friend. She says, question. Do you think since he purchased the backpack in San Francisco, he was considering the shooting since that time? I mean, I think he had a lot of time to plan the shooting, no? Ed?
Yeah, well, you know, we got to find out exactly when he radicalized and who he was chatting with in social media. And, you know, because, you know, he says in his manifesto that, you know, nobody else was involved. We don't know that. Okay. Sure. We don't know that at all. So we have to see who he's talking to and what their conversations were, because, you know, he definitely radicalized, and a lot of the radicalization these days occurs on the internet. Okay. Yes. In chat rooms and other areas. And so we'll find out, you know, all of his search histories on his computers and cell phones. We'll find out, you know, his social media footprint and who he was talking to. And, you know, and that journal that he was writing is a home run, huge home run.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
See, Darlene D says, Ed, would the gun he had being a ghost gun make it easier or more difficult to compare ballistics? See, okay, the ghost gun is just a generic term. All it means is it doesn't have a serial number, and it was typically homemade. Okay, you know, there are kits that you have to purchase to lowers and uppers. You know, the slide, the barrel, the firing pin, springs, all these different things. Okay, now the 3D printer was used to make the polymer lower. All the upper portions of the gun have to be obtained, or it can't be made with a 3D printer because they're metal. Okay. If you had a CNC machine, that's a different story. But the odds are he didn't have that. So he would have to go out and buy the upper. He would have to go out and acquire the barrel. And inside the upper, you're going to have your extraction pin. You're going to have your ejection. You're going to have your breech. You're going to have your firing pin. And all of those will leave tool marks. And the magazine that you made are going to leave tool marks on the sides of the cartridge case, which they recovered and identified as coming from his gun. And then the bullet that was expelled from the barrel of the weapon will have the lands and grooves of that particular barrel. Now, if he didn't buy a polygonal Glock barrel for his Glock clone, because what he made was a Glock clone, Okay. If he bought an aftermarket barrel for that gun, because it looks like it's a clone of a Model 19 Glock 9mm handgun. So if he bought, but he definitely bought a threaded barrel. Okay, a threaded barrel so that he could screw the suppressor on. Now, I'm also being told that the suppressor was made in plastic on a 3D printer. Now, these plastic 3D suppressors are notorious for only being good for a couple of rounds, and then they're no good anymore, and can cause issues if it's not made or printed properly. So again, it's all going to be tested in our laboratory, and we're going to find out everything about this gun. So that said, it's still going to leave those that tool mark that's good for identification.
And the great part about this is that the NYPD detectives, they have now time is on their hands. They are able, time is on their side. They're going to be able to do a lot of extra things while they're waiting for this guy to waive his extradition, which if he doesn't do it, they'll have a good month until after the first of the year to get this guy. And Schmitty asks a great question. Ed, would any handwriting analysis be done comparing the handwriting on his letters to the words on the lettering on the shell casing? That is
great question, Schmitty. And the NYPD lab had, when I was there, we had 2 handwriting analysts, specialists. I'm not sure if they're still there, but they should. Yes, they should. It appears, from what I'm being told, it wasn't scratched into the side. It was written with a permanent marker on the side of the cartridge casing. So I'm not sure whether it was scratched on there or written it. But in any event, it's printed. It's print as opposed to script. Okay, and yes, they should do that. So what? Also, they should be looking at those journals to see if he made any reference to those 3 words that are on the side of the cartridge cases in his journal, because those 3 words are associated with a book written about the insurance industry.
Yeah.
Okay. So and see if he owns that book. See if he downloaded it, an e-copy of it, and read it. Okay. Again, that makes strong circumstantial evidence there. But then if you do the handwriting analysis, okay, you're going to have to get him to write pages and pages of exemplars printed with a marker. And if I was doing this, I wouldn't use paper per se. I would make them write it on cartridge cases. But you can, obviously they were going to make them do paper as well and have them printed. You do this on multiple pages, hundreds of times, right? Because in the initial rounds, when you're getting exemplars for handwriting analysis, the suspects will try to change the way they write things. But if you make them write it hundreds of times, over time, that defense that they're trying to do will break down, and they'll write it the way they did when they wrote the original document.
We should get Sina Wong. She sent me a Christmas card.
Yes.
I got a Christmas card just the other day from her, and I thought about this case. All right, so you got one too.
Yeah.
She was fascinating. I think Sina Wong. I'm actually going to reach out to her tomorrow.
Do that.
How many of you guys in the chat would like to get Ed to talk to the audience about Sina Wong?
All right, Sina Wong is a certified handwriting analyst, and she worked in the JonBenet Ramsey case, okay, and examined the note that was left behind by the alleged perpetrator. And she is a forensic expert in handwriting analysis and a good friend of mine. And I met her at the American Academy of Forensic Science conference, and we've been friends ever since. And she's one of the premier handwriting analysts.
And since that show, she made one appearance with us. She's been sending us Christmas cards every year. That was in 2021 that we had her on 2022.
She's one of the people, as Ron likes to refer to, as coming from my Rolodex, which is long and wide.
Yeah, it's far and deep. It's Rolodex.
So question about, one more question about the examination. Tim Acosta, what about a polygraph? Would they do that?
Well, they can definitely seek to do a polygraph, but the defense attorney is probably never going to let that
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just had to throw that in there. Could that be interesting?
But you can't introduce it in court, though.
Let's listen to this because this is the district attorney for Pennsylvania. And I think this is where he said, we will yield to the NYPD. This is the press conference when he was apprehended in Pennsylvania.
Everyone, I would echo the governor's sentiments. Law enforcement does work at its best when they work together. I'd also like to thank District Attorney Seidel. He and his staff came down from the Manhattan District Attorney's office today in record time to assist us at the Altoona Police Department. And as the governor stated, the state police, the Altoona Police Department, the FBI, the New York City Police Department, Logan Township Police Department, the Blair County Sheriff's Department, and other agencies all worked together today to do what needed to be done to seek justice. I often brag about how the community in Blair County isn't afraid to say something, to report a crime, to contact local law enforcement. And I've often touted how they've made their community, whether it be Altoona or somewhere else, a safer place to live. And today I submit that a resident from Altoona and the Altoona Police Department helped make New York City a safer place to live and helped to kickstart the process to seek justice for a senseless killing. So again, I'd like to thank everybody, and it's my honor to introduce Deputy Commissioner Daugherty at this time.
That's where he said it.
Thank you, Mr. DA. On behalf of the New York City Mayor.
Here's
One
where,
that was he contested that.
here's where he says it.
And how long?
So that answer depends. Once the charging documents are filed in the state of New York,
They are
we will
filed.
file a fugitive justice complaint against the defendant. He'll be brought before a common pleas judge shortly thereafter, when the defendant will be presented with the option to waive his extradition or to contest his extradition. If he waives his extradition, we of course will make him available to the NYPD and the Manhattan District Attorney's office as soon as we're able to arrange his transportation there. If he contests it, that process typically takes between 30 and 45 days to do the requisite paperwork, but we do that all the time.
It's a common occurrence, and these guys know how to do this. It's a well-oiled machine, but as we know, he did not waive his extradition. But I think he'll have a change of heart once, like you said, and once the holidays come close. But here's where he says that we're just going to defer the charges
in our office, and that's kind of a normal procedure.
On the matter of the backpack itself right now, the backpack itself, you had the one that was in New York. Do we know if that's the same one that he had the time of the shooting there, or is this backpack that he had here one that he may have acquired? And the findings inside, the silencer and cash, some foreign currency as well. Is that correct?
I'll defer to someone else. I'm not going to speculate on any of the interpretation of the evidence. I'm going to rely on the officers doing the investigation to complete that and reach their conclusions.
Can we say that at this point he is a suspect in the hit on the United CEO? Can we call him a suspect at this point? Obviously, he was rushing on.
Yes, as we confirmed at his preliminary arraignment, with the permission of District Attorney Seidel, we expect charges to be filed forthwith. And obviously, that I'm not going to speculate on that timing, but tonight or tomorrow or sometime in the very near future for homicide.
And he decided to amend.
Clarify one quick.
In terms of the officer's investigation,
damn it.
when you said
All right. Well, I know in here is where he said it. Basically said that, we would just defer the charges because the charges in New York are far more serious than what we have them on, which is simple weapons and, fake ID and so forth. So that's where we're at. I'm running out of gas. I got to go, guys. Ed, there's a lot more to do here. We got to get this guy back into New York City, but that will happen. It may happen before Christmas. It may happen after. But let's go to Maison Ant for final thoughts because she is a woman of wisdom.
Real quick, I'm not going to be around for a few days. I'm having a little bit more dental work, and I had an injection today, so I'll watch from behind the scenes. And if they bring me back, hopefully I'll see you all by the new year. But I want to gift Thank you. I want to give two gifts, but I can only lift one arm. I found this recently, 2 weeks before the shooting, the infamous CEO shooting. Criminal Minds. It's a company out of Illinois, and it says Criminal Minds destroy evidence, construct alibis, avoid consequence. And it's big print, easy reading. They talk about John Dillinger, Molly, mom who was a single mom who robbed a bank, and there's some notorious true crime stories in here. So I would like to gift for the holidays, for all the holidays we're celebrating and my year anniversary. I would like to give two books to whoever, DutyRon, whoever's interested, and you can email DutyRon. I can supply an email address too, and I'll mail them to you before the new year for the holiday.
But wait a minute, we can't just arbitrarily do that. We have to do some type of giveaway, right?
Well, I'm throwing it back on your lap.
Spin the wheel.
Yeah, we're gonna have to spin the wheel. So you just forced my
Next
card.
episode if you want, Ron, because I know it's a long day for you.
Just did it now. Everybody's all excited. So
I don't know how to do the spin. You know how to do the show more than me.
I'm gonna do it. You two talk just a minute, and then I'll get it. I'll get it up. All right, I got it.
Ed, I bought this for you.
Ed's already getting the spinning wheel. I'll be right there. Talk about it. I'll be right there.
Real
we're gonna
quick.
do it, but we're gonna have to do a hashtag. So it's gonna be hashtag Ant. Don't do it yet, but that's gonna be a way for you to enter for a chance. 2 chances. We're gonna spin the wheel. This is gonna be fun, actually. I love to do this. So hashtag.
Someone said Wheel of Book.
Hashtag ANT. You have to be subscribed, obviously. You have to give the video a thumbs up, and you have to put hashtag ANT. So those are 3 things that you got to do. All right, so let me go do it. I'll be
This is your holiday gift and Ron's. I bought 2 copies for the both of you, but I said, come on, our audience would probably rather the book, because some of these stories you were probably a part of. Oh boy, let's see. And are you doing it, Ed? Or
Yeah, we're going to do it when Ron comes back, folks.
Give me 2 seconds. I got to find.
Okay. He's set it up, and then we'll give out the
Okay.
winner.
So I'm an Indian giver. I'm giving your gift away, okay, Ed?
That's okay.
I'll autograph it for you.
Listen. Oh, hold on.
Who wrote the book? It's written by, it's a compilation by 2024 Publications International, LTD, Lewis Weber, CEO. It's a whole compilation, 8 chapters of Criminal Minds.
Okay. Did you ever see, Ant, did you ever see the movie with John Cusack, Better Off Dead?
Yes, that was one of our favorite movies, and Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah, remember when the little kid, the newspaper boy, kept riding around, I want my $2?
Oh yes, my mother and I do that. We just did over the weekend over this killer. My mother and I, it's terrible. We make this bet, and she's like, "I want my $2." I'm like, "No, I want my $2."
Okay. Yeah. Well, for you and me,
What?
is I want my empanadas.
Empanadas. But Ed, look, I had an injection. I can't even lift up my arm. That's why I looked disheveled. Look, no empanadas unless I buy them.
All right.
We gotta meet at Ronnie's job or some undisclosed location, and we'll do them in person. But I had them for you all summer.
Okay.
You were
well, they're
busy
probably
traveling.
not good now.
No. I wouldn't keep them more than 2 months. I wish I could share them with the whole community, but right now the empanada store is shut down. I didn't do my Christmas cards yet because I didn't expect this to happen.
Okay.
Such is life. But okay, I got this. And then on a serious note, the shirt I'm wearing, everyone, if you look at December 14th, 2014, NYPD, Detective Ramos, Detective Lou, and I don't want to be a downer, but I have to remember their memory. I worked with them in Brooklyn, in Brownsville, Brooklyn North. They were assassinated, and it was 10 years ago this week. So I wanted to honor their memory and remember them and their families. 10 years later, Detective Lou and Detective Ramos, they were sitting in their car outside the projects, or low-income housing, I don't know the words we're supposed to use, housing development, and they were assassinated by a deranged person. Everyone, we say mentally ill, but a deranged person, and it was very, very tragic. I was younger on the job, and the shirt fit better, but I wanted to remember them and their memory. And are we done with this yet?
Okay.
Canadians do qualify. I have friends in Canada.
Hey, Mel, I got to tell you a Canadian story.
All right,
Okay.
before you tell the story, hashtag ANT, and it's going to be lower letters, ANT. Hashtag ANT. It's going right now, and 30
You gotta
people
teach
have
me
entered.
this.
30 people have entered into it. Go ahead, take it, Ed.
Oh,
Take
I
it.
wish I had 30
Okay,
copies.
Mel. Okay, so when I was in crime scene, I had a crime scene in the Bronx, and we just finished wrapping it up, and we were driving back to our base in Fordham in the Bronx, and we saw a Canadian plated vehicle pulled over in a very bad area, and there was a husband and wife and a small child, a young girl. And so my partner and I looked at each other and says, we better pull over and get these people help. Oh, they're going to be the next crime scene we're responding to. Okay. So we pulled over and we called for a tow truck, and, and it was a French Canadian, and he was speaking to me. And, the Bronx is an all-American city, right? That designation, you see it's like the old Captain America shield, the original shield. And
Right.
it's got the stars, it's red, white, and blue and all that. And it says all-American city, Bronx, the all-American city. So the husband asked me, how does a city in the United States get that designation? And like it just popped into my head, and I didn't stop, and I said, well, it just means no Canadians live here.
I worked in the Bronx.
he didn't appreciate my humor.
Jesus, Ed. Hashtag
That's funny,
ANT.
Ed. I wish I worked with you in the Bronx.
We only have 138 people who are interested in getting this book.
Okay.
We have 1,850 people here. I guess nobody is interested in a chance to win. Hashtag ANT 139, 140. I'm going to let this go just another minute or so because we're an hour and 30 minutes into this.
Yeah.
And I am way out of gas right
You gotta
now.
go. You're up too late. Yeah.
Okay. Let me know.
Sorry I
on.
did this late. I was gonna wait till the next show, but I wasn't sure. Figured for the holidays.
Killing me, Smalls. Hold on a second. Let's watch Ed dance a minute.
And sing, Ed.
What you gonna do? Bad boys, bad boys.
Go Bruno Mars, Ed. Go Bruno Mars. That's my song.
That's it.
All right. So
Listening.
hashtag ANT 165 people have entered to win. I guess it's going to make it fun because it's not thousands of people. We only have 165 people that want a chance
Right.
to
Refresh.
And I'm gonna throw in the NYPD pin. I'm gonna throw in a little bit more swag. So let's see how these numbers go up.
Scott's trying to get in on the action. Scott Messerschmidt. He's like, I want it's if it's free, it's for me. Let's see. 11:04.
Do you remember the movie Easy Money with Rodney Dangerfield?
I do remember.
Barely. Maybe on WPIX.
It was filmed in Staten Island, and his mother-in-law was rich, and she promised him, if he could walk the straight and narrow, he'll get the money and everything. But he says to his wife, he was building a model in the kitchen, and he says to his wife, "Hey, honey, I left a mess of shit in the kitchen. I'll take care of it when I get back." It was a Messerschmitt airplane, but he said a mess of shit.
Messerschmitt.
I caught that, especially Staten Island.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah. Ronnie's
LED
fading.
says, please take care of it. Yeah, I am. I'm really pushing it.
Let's go.
I want to
yeah.
just wait. At least let's get over 200.
Do you want to do this tomorrow? Can we continue?
We're
with the
over
next one?
200.
Oh no! Look at Ed.
Ed feels like it's Christmas. He's already ready to rip it open. It's
Hold
not
on,
there.
hold on. This is for Ed.
Stop breathing down my neck.
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
Pardon my
Wait, Ed.
French, but you're an asshole.
Oh, hell no.
All right.
Supervisor?
203.
Are you the supervisor on the job right now saying, hurry up here?
Yeah, no, I'm
No,
not.
no.
I'm the ranking official here. Ed could say
All right,
all he
go on.
wants. I
Slow
control.
down. I tell you, slow down. I want the overtime.
I control the end button and the start. All right.
Okay.
We turn this into some fun, and I'm hoping that everybody enjoys a little bit of humor and also a little bit of a giveaway. Amazing Ant is feeling like she wants to give away 2 books. So right now I'm going to hit the draw button and we're going to get a spinning wheel. Ed, you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
All right. So as we go, 206 people. There's a couple of people trying to get in at the end of the arrow, at the end of the line here.
Okay.
Hold on. Please rest. DutyRon says
Yeah.
McKidduff.
Now I feel guilty doing this now. Come on, it's getting late for you. I'm just starting work.
Karen Roman says there's no tax on overtime.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, now. After January 20th.
Okay. We have 210 people entering for a chance to win. Let's do it. We're going to draw it now. All right. Ed?
Hold on.
What?
Okay, ready?
He wants one more.
211. Some people trying again. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I love this.
Diane B, my name. You could just hand it to me. You could just hand it, to me, and I can hand it to her myself. Hold on a second.
You won't regret it.
Hold on. Diane B, my neighbor across the street. If this is not rigged, I don't know what's rigged, but my neighbor across the street, I know her 30 years. All right, so you could still get into the, you can still get in there. So we don't have to ship that book. That's just a handoff at a dinner.
Okay.
214 people entered into the contest. Let's draw again. Right here is going to be the draw again button.
Here we go.
Are we ready to do it? Ed,
Yes.
you ready? 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I missed it.
You suck, Ed.
I do. Excuse me.
Karen
Peacock.
Congratulations, Karen P. I love the confetti. Look at that. Karen Peacock, you are the winner of a free book, Amazing Ant. I'll put you full screen. So, Karen, all you have to do is send me an email. Go to DutyRon.com, and you will get a Criminal Minds book. And the other one, that was an easy one. I'm going to give it to my neighbor. Just hand it off to her.
Okay. Oh, I gotta pick up the price.
Congratulations, Karen.
Would you like to be my neighbor?
Let's pull one. Let's pull one more, and I will give away a.
Hey, Ron, you still have any of my books?
DutyRon pen. I do.
I want your book.
But I'm in no condition to start shipping out a bunch of things at this time, Ed.
Okay.
I do. I have a whole bunch of them. All right. Let's. You want
next time, Ed?
You want to give away one of your books, Ed? Do you want to do it? One of Ed's. Could you
I'll
tell me
mail
what
it.
it is? One book. We'll do it.
Okay.
Ed?
Let me get the spinning wheel sound.
What's the book, Ed?
Yeah, Ed.
Crime Scene Investigations.
Oh,
By Ed Wallace.
That's
really?
right.
Holy
For real?
shiitake mushrooms. Ed Wallace.
Oh, my Lanta.
You want one of those. Amazing Ants. Like, what about me? Can I put
I do. I'll buy one.
All right. Hashtag Ant. Hashtag Ant. Did you put your hashtag in the chat, Ant? For a chance to win?
What am I putting, Ed or?
Hashtag Ant. We're not changing it. Come on.
You let your viewers do it, and when I bring Ed empanadas, him and I will trade.
All right. All right. Hashtag Ant. Chance to win Ed Wallace's crime scene book. Ed, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Go.
Hold on. Could you dance one more time?
What you gonna do? What you gonna do when it comes to you?
That makes me happy when Ed does that.
Ed, you're getting more people. Let's see.
If it makes you happy. Yeah.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Ed, you ready? 1, 2, 3. Hit it.
I don't see it on the screen.
All right, give me a
It's
second.
on the screen. Oh. Ah!
Watcher. So, Daily Watcher, send me an email on DutyRon.com and just put Ed's book. Daily Watcher is the winner. Daily Watcher. Stop breathing down my neck.
Blow it out your ass.
Oh, wait, that's not. Hold on. That was the wrong
Stop
one.
breathing down my neck.
That was George Collins saying, blow it out your ass.
All right. We had enough shenanigans for the night.
Let's reel it in. Daily Watcher, send an email, and I'll have Ed Wallace mail his book out to you. I'll give it back to him and have him mail it since I'm sick.
And Peacock, I got a mail.
Yes. Peacock, send it DutyRon.com. I'll see you guys all. Final words back in here as it pertains to the murder of Brian Thompson, perpetrator in custody, Luigi Mangione. Amazing.
Prayers for his family, and praying the justice system will be 100% buttoned up, and we can move forward. Ed?
Yes, to the family, prayers to those people out there that see this guy as some kind of hero. He's no hero. He's a terrorist.
Yeah.
And you need to rethink what's going on in your life if you're going down those roads. Okay, because if you wouldn't be able to pass the shoes on the other foot test. Okay, if your family was the victim. So that said, always stay safe, stay prepared, folks, and watch your six.
Yes, and as we always do here as a community as a whole, we send strength, prayers, and positive vibes to the Thompson family and all of the loved ones and people from the community who he worked with, and the law enforcement and everybody that's responsible for bringing justice. We send strength, prayers, and positive vibes. On behalf of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace and our special friend and special guest, Amazing Aunt, we want to thank you for tuning in. We love you. We appreciate you. We respect you. Your time is valuable, and we value you being here.
Yeah.
So make sure you leave us comments down below to continue the conversation in the comments section. I watch it. Ed does, and I know, Aunt, you are active in the comment section. So it's a way to continue the conversation. I'm shot. I got to go. Peace and love, everybody. Good night from New York.
Good night.